Welcome to From Loneliness to Overflow with Matina. I'm your host, a holistic healing coach, divorce recovery coach, and a passionate advocate for personal growth and your guide on the journey to healing. This podcast is for those who are struggling with the feelings of loneliness, disconnection, feeling stuck, and who are ready to discover their inner potential and live a life overflowing with love and connection. Inside, we're going to explore the path from pain to transformation, bridging the gap between loneliness and abundance through heartfelt conversations, spirituality, energy work, and self-awareness. So let's get started on this soulful journey together. Welcome to another beautiful episode from Loneliness to Overflow with Matina. Today's guest is on a mission. She is on a mission to saving 1 million marriages. And I am intrigued by this mission and intrigued by her story. So I can't wait for everyone to hear and get to know more about Ronnie. Ronnie, welcome on this episode.
Thank you, Matina. I'm so happy to be here. It's an exciting adventure, and I'm so excited to talk about my mission.
I'm super excited for everyone to hear about it and to get to know about you. So before we really dive into that, introduce yourself for those who haven't heard about your mission and what you do.
Okay, so hi, my name is Ronnie Littlewood, and I'm on a mission to save 1 million marriages. And it's come from a place that I see a world that's deeply in need of healing and deeply want to desire to give people the tools and the skills and the education so not only can they heal the pain within themselves, but within their marriage. I'm a registered social worker, psychotherapist. I own a group practice called the Couples Clinic, where we teach couples all across Ontario on how to heal their marriage. I'm a mother of 4, 2 birth, 2 adopted. I'm a wife of 33 years. I'm a hot mess. I use cuss words, and my office is almost always messy. And that's a little bit about me.
Well, we welcome this hot mess as the beautiful soul that you are, and how you choose to save marriages. But I also know that whenever we are on a very big mission, there is always a story behind why we get to do what we do, why we are leaning into serving people generically. So while we know the mission, what today I want to dive into and lean into is getting to know Ronnie more and getting to know what was your loneliness moment or your disconnection moment that led you actually into stepping into the overflow and stepping into the more.
Well, it's a story I call the horrible exercise. And it happened, I guess, probably about 15 years ago. At that point, before I became a therapist, for 16 years, I worked in the field of child protection in myriad roles, mostly child abuse investigator. And part of that role, we had to do ongoing training. And so me and staff of probably about 75 or 80 people were in the conference room. And we had a person come in to kind of teach us about LGBTQ issues and how they're predominant and isms and what they face, etc. Anyways, the leader got us to all stand up, and she played a little game. And the game kind of felt like Red Rover. And it was basically, she asked us a series of questions. And if the question was true for you, you would step forward. And if it wasn't true for you, you'd step back. And so got up, I'm excited to play this game. And it was like, if you had a chance to go to summer camp, take 1 step forward, right? Which is fine, lots of people step forward. If your family inherited money, take 2 steps forward. And I kind of stay in place because I grew up poor. And if you ever went to the food bank as a child, take 1 step back. And so I step back and I'm starting to feel a little bit nervous at this point. And I'm having racing thoughts because up until this point in my career, I kind of had always hid behind my professional reputation, my degrees, and I kind of kept a secret that I had had like horrific abusive childhood. Even though I was in the field of child protection, it was it was just shame point for me. And I just wanted, like when I was a kid, to be normal like everyone else. The exercise continued. If you grew up by a single parent, take a step back. I'm taking a step back. If you go through this world without the fear of sexual assault, take a step forward. I'm locked in place. If you've ever had to deal with violence when you were a child, take 2 steps back. And as this game progressed, I noticed that my colleagues were all moving far, far in front of me. If you had a caregiver who had mental illness, take a step back. I'm taking a step back. If you were, teased and humiliated because of the clothes you wore, take a step back. Well, by the end of this, what I call the horrible exercise, and I get emotional just thinking about it, I was the last person in the room. My back was up against the wall. Every single person in the room was in front of me. And it was like suddenly I was exposed. It's funny. Nobody could see me, but it felt like everybody could see me, right? Because
Yeah.
I so effortlessly I'd always tried so hard to contain my secret. And it just got ripped open in front of me without my consent. And all of a sudden, I felt like I was so alone in this room and so lonely and so exposed and so terrified. And, I left and I was crying and I went back to my office. And it was a change point for me because I realized, how long can you keep living in shame and in silence about who you are and what you've been through? And at some point, Ronnie Littlewood, you have to succumb to healing, and you can't heal what you're not willing to acknowledge.
Ooh, that's huge.
Yeah.
Wow, my goodness. I can see you in that room and I can see you stepping back or standing still and while others are moving forward and I can not feel the pain because didn't go through it, but I can completely hold space for that pain and hold space for the shame that you were feeling in that moment and was faced with your biggest awareness that now pulling you into the next step. Tell me more. What happened after that? What did you do?
Well, I think it was a wake up call. And so I often say, because I'm a therapist, right, that we like to put the boxes in the basement, and whatever we do, don't you dare open the basement door. But the problem with that, and although it's a great coping mechanism, it can be a great coping mechanism. The problem is that the boxes leak. Right. And when the boxes leak emotionally, it usually forms in somatic results. We're grinding our teeth, we're having nightmares, we have acid reflux, we've got bowel issues, our hair is falling out, patches of eczema. Like in every way, pain will fight its way to the surface, no matter how much you try to suppress it. And so it was just the very beginning of, holy shit, I got some pain and I got to deal with it. And it started me kind of on my first steps of my spiritual journey, my healing journey, and getting an understanding that I have to open these boxes. I have to look at the contents. I have to grieve the little girl that I was who went through these experiences. And I think as someone who's like a professional healer, that was like a hit to the ego, which is silly looking back, but it was. It's
Mhm.
funny when you get paid to heal other people. But I think there's an archetype of us healers, and the archetype is that we all come down onto this blue marble broken, and all of our jobs as healers is to heal ourselves. We do great at healing others, but it's always about what's inside of us. So that exercise finally gave me permission, a wake-up call, a slap in the face and a kick in the ass, that Ronnie Littlewood, you got to open these boxes, finally deal with what's going on.
Yes. Oh my gosh. Isn't that the truth that as great helpers, as great healers, that when we help ourselves first, things magically shift, things magically occur, the right clients, the right people, the right mission, everything just falls into place. But here you are with this awareness, with this step of, okay, I'm going to do this. I'm going to step forward. I'm going to take action. I'm going to face these boxes. What happened next?
Well, it's been an evolution, and luckily, a lot of people have come into my life and a lot of experiences. And even if you can recall, Matina, how we met at a Tony Robbins event, right? Which
Yes.
was, another stripping down of the layering. But it was a call to action that it's kind of like, how do I explain it? My relationship with God, I've always felt a little bit like, I know this sounds bad, but kind of bullied, you know what I mean? Like we got free will. I want to do what I want to do. And every time I've had to surrender to intuition or surrender being on God's path, it was always never really a path I wanted to be on because I was afraid of the consequence of taking the risk of failure. And so part of what that led into was leaving my career in child welfare and being brave enough, because I knew I'd been called. Probably, actually, I'm 19 years in now. I was first called probably in 2005, that I knew that I had this really big job, that I knew that I felt called to help marriages. I knew that I had to do this thing called the couples clinic. And then I guess it would be now about 10 years ago, it was the first thought that I think I have to, and that was terrifying to say out loud, by the way. I think I have to heal a million marriages. Like, that just sounds nuts, right? It sounds bloody nuts. And people would laugh at me, and they kind of like give me that funny look, like, "Are you mentally ill, sweetie?" You know
Oh
what
my
I mean?
gosh.
But I knew that was in my path, and that was what I was being called to do, which then kind of led me to opening up this practice, led me to finally getting online and teaching people. And just now, recently, I'm finishing up my first book called 1 Million Marriages Saved. And all of that has been in alignment, because I think that has always been my purpose.
Mm.
And it's funny, Matina, because it's not about, you would think a book or a mission or a purpose of 1 Million Marriage Saved would be to give you help around your marriage, but it's not that. And I surprise myself even as I've gone on this journey, because I've learned that it's not about getting more love. It's always been about changing your relationship with pain within yourself and with your partner. And most of us, when we are faced with pain, emotional, physical, financial, sexual, whatever, spiritual, we either fight it, how dare you, you're wrong, you're crazy, or we flight from it, I don't want to deal with it. And as a chronic flighter, a chronic withdrawer, a chronic person who pushes things down and put things in boxes, learning how to face pain and acknowledge pain and find so much love and empathy and self-compassion for my pain versus punishing pain, which is typically what most of us do.
Yeah. Oh my gosh. I want to go back to what you said earlier, right? Like where you said, I knew, I knew my mission was to save a million marriages. And
Mhm.
as crazy as that sound, it has been with me since 2005, and it keeps coming back until I took action. Now, while it might be found crazy by some people, the fact that you had already dealt with that is interesting to me. You already had those same thoughts that people are saying to you right now with yourself, It's already pushed it down multiple times and it kept coming back. And when things keep coming back, we know it's meant to be. We know we're meant to deal with it. We know we're meant to step into it.
Yep.
And what you just so gracefully shared is for anyone who is listening, who knows that they have a big mission in front of them, to lean into it, to step up courageously and just be like, I'm going to try this. The worst that can happen is I'll fail, but failure only is there when you don't stand up again and try again.
Absolutely.
The other part that you said so beautifully, Ronnie, is we are married to our pain. We hold on to the pain. It's really the pain that really keeps us in either a fight or flight mode. And you bravely identified yourself with the one who would fly away from it, who would push things in the boxes and put them away, and came across a very facing moment in life where you had to deal with those boxes, where you had to deal with your own pain. And now you get to support others. And the outcome might be a safe marriage, but the real outcome is the release of the pain, is what I'm hearing. Am I right in thinking that way?
100%. And the crazy thing is that I've yet to meet a single human being who doesn't have pain. Every human being has pain. Your listeners, all of you who are listening right now, you have pain. And it might be in the form of an alcoholic dad, or maybe you have a cancer diagnosis, or maybe you have a child who has behavioral disorders. Whatever that form of pain is, most of us struggle to accept it. To be human is to suffer, and none of us get to have a human experience without suffering, okay? It's part of what makes us human. But if we just learn to have a little bit of compassion for our pain, nobody wants it. Nobody's holding up their hand going, yes, please give me more pain. And there's never a time when we get pain that it isn't painful. Pain is always painful. Whether it's our partner giving us a complaint, whether it's a physical issue that we're going through, whether it's failure, betrayal, injustice, abandonment, whatever that pain is. And if we just soften and cut ourselves some slack and let go of this Instagram ridiculous expectation of perfection that none of us can live up to, and whether that's we accept our bellies, our bank accounts, our bisexuality, or whatever that thing is that tortures us, and just be, you know what, I'm okay to be me, flawed, imperfect, struggling like the rest of the world, but I'm me, and I'm willing to love me, because that's always going to be the cornerstone of self-worth. And I'll tell you, Matina, the thing with self-worth is that you cannot borrow, can't buy, can't rent, and you cannot steal it. The only one who can give you self-worth is you. And most of us do not have a willingness to give ourselves self-worth because we want other people to give it to us. But it's literally impossible. And if you people wonder why you're feeling at this, it's because you have not surrendered to giving it to yourself.
Before we continue, I would like to offer you something special. If you desire to deeper, more meaningful connections in your life and are looking to improve your relationships with yourself and others, it is time to make a change. I'm inviting you to join our Deepening Connections through Meditation group. Imagine improving your relationships through meditations that foster understanding and growth. Check out matinasingh.com/meditation for more details and use the code GROWTH for an exclusive discount. Now let's get back to our soulful conversation, helping you on your journey of self-awareness and connection. My goodness, the energy, the passion in those words is just coming and pulling me through the screen and be like, listen to me now. And I love the relationship to ourselves is and absolutely will always be the self-worth that we see for ourselves.
Yes.
And I love the fact that you say that we can't borrow it. We can't steal it. We can't pretend it. We can't do all of these things and think everything is handy dandy and everything is good. While in reality, we feel pain. We feel alone. We feel hurt.
Absolutely. And I'll tell you something else, Matina. I've been blessed to be able to sit with thousands of people and to hear their secrets. And of those thousands and thousands of people I've gotten to sit with, I would say 0.202% of them have been multimillionaires. And I noticed something. I noticed a trend. Every single time I sit down with a multimillionaire, they have so much compassion for themselves. They have so much willingness to fail. They know their flaws. They understand and accept their flaws. They say things, I screw up and I own that and I was wrong and I can be better and I can fix that. And that isn't a coincidence, okay? So if you ever wonder how to get more riches in this life, it's a willingness to accept yourself wholeheartedly. That's the secret. Right?
Absolutely it is. It absolutely is the secret. It absolutely is the solution even.
Absolutely.
What you are witnessing through other people with their experiences, with their secrets, with their aha moments, and how you beautifully are connecting these and now helping save marriages and be on this beautiful mission of saving marriages. It's a huge blessing. It's a huge step forward into showing that a life is possible without the failure of the relationship. But a life without pain is not there. It's about accepting those pains. It's about stepping into those pains, feeling those pains, and then making the brave decision to let go. Tell us a little secret that you get to do with your clientele and that you always step into and show up for. It's like, if you do this, you can get there.
That's easy. It's three things. Is in every couple I've ever worked with, this three things is common amongst all of them. And it's the three things that they are unwilling to do. You ready?
I'm ready.
Okay. You got to give love. What is love? Love is energy you give away in words, in touch, in time, in acts of service, and in gifts. You have to give energy. That is love, not get it. You can't demand love. You got to give it. So number one, you got to give love. Number two, you have to acknowledge what your partner does, whether it's dishes, whether it's child rearing, whether it's working 12 hours in a plant. You have to acknowledge them. And number three, you have to validate their pain by saying, wow, I'm sorry. I had no idea it had that impact. I'm sorry my words were thoughtless, because every single couple who has ever come in front of me wants those three things. I just want love. I just want them to acknowledge what I do. I just want them to validate my complaint. And it's the three things that we will not do. And in fact, it's the same rules for even it's not even so much even in our marriage. It's just with ourselves. I have to give myself love. I have to acknowledge what I give and do, and I have to validate my pain. And if we can do those three things, then miracles happen. Miracles. Because we change and we grow. Because only through pain do we grow. We don't get to grow without pain, people. But if we can just be a little stronger, wiser, kinder, more gentler to our pain, then it becomes less about suffering and more about growth. Is that
Let
good?
that sink in. Let that sink in. Let that sink. I'm getting chills all over just because not only is this for a marriage, it's for any relationship. And it's more than anything, it's for yourself.
Absolutely.
And it goes back into the spiral where people are like, but I don't want to hear that. I want to hear, how do I fix the other person? What can I do for the other person that they can love me in the way that I need to be loved and I need to receive and I need. But the very interesting shift that I have learned is like, it's not I have to. It's like I get to. It's just a word difference. But my God, does this word difference makes a difference?
It's choice.
It is a choice. And we're making choices without realizing. Anyone who is driving down this path every single day going to work, it's not thinking about, oh, I need to turn right now. You just know it. You're just going on autopilot and you're making all of those decisions subconsciously. And when you are like, okay, today I'm going to do something adventurous. Instead of going right, I want to see what's on the left side. And I'm going to explore the left side. That is what I'm hearing from you.
Yeah, for sure. And I think it's a surrender. Like we like to control pain, but to heal, to go on the healing journey is a surrender. But I think one of the things I've learned, and this kind of sucks, and I'm sorry, I feel like apologizing. At this point in my life, I'm recognizing that the healing journey lasts until you die. There is no end. There is no end where you go, I'm totally healed. And the reason that there's no end is because life is about pain. There's no way to stop pain from coming, whether I break my ankle or, my kid develops a drug addict or my neighbor suddenly dies or whatever that kid, I mean, that's to be human is inherently painful. So in order to heal to change our relationship with pain means that I'm committing to daily healing as long as I'm walking on this ground and to be okay with that, right? It's kind of like if I get sick, I know I've got to rest. And if I cut my leg, I know I have to antiseptic it and put a band-aid on. No difference with emotions. If I'm grieving, if I'm hurt, if I'm afraid, if I feel guilt or shame, I have to acknowledge those feelings, have a little bit of empathy for myself, and give myself love. And that is the only way to heal. And you got to do it over and over and over again. The more you do it, the easier it becomes because you build neural pathways in your brain. So it makes the exercises far easier. And you also have a willingness to just like those multimillionaires. Yeah, there it is. But I love myself unconditionally, meaning no conditions, meaning if I fail or I screw up or I say something stupid or somebody gives me a complaint, I own it, I acknowledge it, I apologize it, and I decide to love me unconditionally in spite of it.
This is going to be very difficult for some people to comprehend that life is pain and it's for us to heal every single day. A different way of saying the same thing that I would like to add into is while life can be painful and while life can be perceived as to everything is going to shits, sorry, my language, it is a choice of choosing what do you focus upon.
Absolutely. It can
You can
choose
look
to suffer or
right.
choose to thrive.
And honestly, the way that life has been put together with the news and with the negativity around us, we are being bombarded with negativity. And it's a choice if you put on the news for how long you put it on, if you even put it on.
Mm-hmm.
How long do you choose to focus upon it if you choose to focus upon it? And how can you shift yourself into the grace, the gratitude, the beautiful moments, the little snippets that we all also have that we are just not programmed to focus upon. Life can be painful and life can be beautiful in any situation.
Yes, absolutely.
And we have seen this in history even. If you look at people like Anna Frank is coming to mind, her life was horrific. Yeah. But my goodness, did that little girl have grace for herself, have grace and choose to focus upon different things.
Yeah.
I'm going to go back to you, Ronnie. When you decided to face your boxes, when you decided to go and do the exercise, the 3-step exercise for yourself and love upon yourself and give yourself the grace and love, what from this journey so far have you recognized or stands out to you? It's like, Matina, that was another defining moment.
Well, I made an boundary. It was a contract within myself that I hold to this day. And that is no matter how much I want to, under any circumstances, until the day I die, I promise to never abuse myself again. So typically when we have pain, we punish ourselves. I should be this and I should be that, and it's my fault, and I'm a loser, and I don't make enough money, and I'm too fat, and I'm ugly, and people don't like me, and I'm awkward socially, all these things, right? We punish pain, but punishing pain is like punching your broken leg. You're never going to heal. We don't punch our broken leg and say you don't run fast enough and you're so stupid leg for not running a marathon, because that doesn't make sense. But when we have emotional pain, we attack ourselves. And so, after doing all the therapy and all the trauma work and all that, it was that defining moment that no matter how much I fail in this life, I promise to never beat myself up again for it, because I never want pain. Who does? And instead, I'm going to be just so kind and loving and accepting of myself. No different than my kids. If my kids were hurting, if my kids were crying, even if they did it to themselves, I would be like, come here. I got you. I love you. You're okay. You're safe. And it was learning how to talk to my pain with that same loving motherly voice that I didn't get, that made the shift in me and the difference in me in how I heal. If
Yeah,
that makes
how
any
you
sense.
choose to heal.
I choose to heal. Yeah.
Oh my gosh. Thank you, thank you, thank you for enlightening us with this beautiful, beautiful journey that you've gone to so far, the mission that you're on. I am super intrigued and super love to see and continue to see how you grow and how you step into your power even more, even more, even more. Before we end this conversation, and without delay is what I was going to say, is I have a question for you that the previous guest has left. And it always surprises me that whatever question we were having is so fitting into the conversation we just had. So the question for you is, if you dare to look at the truth that you are not allowing yourself to see, what would it mean for your future?
Oh, that's a hard question. I think because the underbelly of that question is fear. And that's the entrapment of fear, is because it's what holds us all back, whether it's opening a new business or having another baby or leaving that toxic relationship or drawing that boundary. And if we just had a willingness to hold that truth, then it could change all of our lives, right? I feel lucky in that I know, and I mean, it's been a long time and it was a hard time to get here to face my truth. And that truth is, I'm finally saying out loud, Ronnie Littlewood wants to save 1 million marriages, regardless of whatever the backlash it was. And I wrote this book with the hopes of publishing it to send that message. And so I feel like I've gotten that truth, but even still, there's that fear of failure, of imposter syndrome, and it's still something I struggle with every day. But if everybody else, your listening audience, can ask themselves that same question, I'm telling you, life-changing moments. Don't be afraid to fail spectacularly. Chase your truth, because when you look at the research studies around those people who are dying in hospice, they all talk about the same things, and that is their regrets. The things they didn't do, the jobs they didn't take, the businesses they didn't own, the relationships they didn't pursue. Do not die with regret. Run and face and grab and fight and pursue your truth, and you will never die with regret. Awesome question. Loved it.
Yes. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you so much for coming on this podcast and for sharing your truth and sharing your pain and sharing how you stepped into the courage of seeing the pain and stepping forward with your dream. And even though it seems like it's your dream, Ronnie, it actually isn't even your dream. It's your mission that you have been blessed with. It's the vision that you've been blessed with that is absolutely, absolutely possible in this world. And people are needing it, seeking it, wanting it. And it's all there. It's all there.
Thank you,
And
Matina.
wait till you give me a call. It's like, Matina, I did it. I saved those 1 million marriages.
All right. Well, they'll probably be saving themselves, but yeah, I'm okay to lead the movement.
Woo! Awesome. Thank you everyone for listening in. Until next time, take care. Thank you for listening. I hope hope this episode has helped you to feel less alone in finding tools towards a life which is overflowing with love and purpose. If you enjoyed the episode, please take a second to rate and review. Each review helps us to reach more individuals who are seeking healing and personal growth just like you. And don't forget to take a screenshot and share your aha moments on your Instagram stories and tag me, Matina. See you next week. Take care.